What happens if I tell you you're already dead? Do you remember the moment when you were very lucky and you thought you almost died? What if you're really unlucky? Your body could have stayed there, but your consciousness continues to live here. Your whole life, your whole memory, can be one big deception. Are you ready to see something that may be hidden from you all your life? The philosophical nightmare. Your long life may be just a moment in the agony of a dying brain. The final brain impulse. Death is not a moment, but a process. Studies show that the brain remains active for 20 to 30 seconds after cardiac arrest. In 2018, neuroscientists from the University of Vancouver recorded the last surge of gamma waves in patients after clinical death. These waves are the same ones that are responsible for awareness, memory, and dreams. Scientists suggest that at this point the brain creates the illusion of continuing life. Solipsism and the theory of the brain in a jar. There is only your consciousness. The whole world is his projection. 8.2 billion people could just be NPCs in your simulation. If you die, the whole universe will disappear. Descartes' phrase, "I think, therefore I am," begins to play with new colors. Without an observer, there is no reality. You're the main observer. Matter does not exist independently of consciousness. This is confirmed by quantum mechanics. The table, the chair, the phone are illusions created by your mind. The idea of a brain in a jar, coined by Hilary Putnam, says that everything you see is created by a neural simulation powered by an artificial source. Modern research on VR and neural interfaces has shown that it is difficult for the brain to distinguish between the real and virtual world. The eternal return of Nietzsche. The universe is cyclical. If time is infinite and matter is finite, combinations of events repeat indefinitely. Physicists admit cyclical cosmology. All states of matter can resume after the heat-death of the universe. The essence of the idea is that over time, the universe will tend to a state of maximum entropy. All the processes and forms of life that we know will become impossible. So you're not the first one to live your life. Déjà vu is a subconscious reaction to a recurring pattern of experience. Quantum immortality. Your mind is always jumping between realities. In infinite universes, you're already dead. But consciousness continues on its way. Every death is just a transition to a neighboring reality. Everett's theory. Every decision creates a new universe. You're not lucky. You just don't remember your previous deaths. Most people experience at least one incredible chance of salvation and live with the feeling that I had to die. You always choose life, even if you don't remember death. Cotard syndrome. A rare neuropsychiatric disorder in which a person is convinced that he is dead. It was first described by Jules Cotard. Modern MRI scans show a decrease in the activity of the insular lobe and amygdala of the areas responsible for self-perception. Patients feel the absence of body parts, the smell of decomposition. They are sure that they exist after death. If the perception of I'm alive can be turned off with an electric pulse, then how can you prove that you are alive now? Derealization and depersonalization. 70% of people have at least once felt the world as a dream where everything is unreal. This disorder is associated with parietal lobe dysfunction and impaired perception of time. The World Health Organization has recognized that derealization is a protective mechanism of the brain against overload. If the brain can turn off the feeling of reality, then it is artificially created. Look at your hands. Does it ever happen that everything seems unreal to you? The Mandela Effect. Thousands of people remember the same event that never happened. The effect is explained by convergent false memory, but the phenomenon is too massive and synchronous to be accidental. If reality is really multivariate, then the Mandela Effect is a memory trace from a previous timeline. Quantum uncertainty. Objects don't exist unless you're looking at them. That's the answer. That's where your socks go. Another example would be graphics in games that load when the player looks at objects. Bell's theorem and the nonlocal connection. Two particles that have ever interacted remain connected instantly, even across galaxies. Consciousness is the same quantum system. By changing yourself, you really affect everything around you. Have you ever had a situation where you remembered a person and he suddenly appeared? Everything is connected. The digital nature of reality. Our world may turn out to be a computer simulation, and physicists find unexpected clues to this. Moreover, it is hypothesized that space-time is pixelated like in a fixed-grid video game. Or, for example, you can recall the second episode of Season 2 of Rick and Morty, where Morty tried to play a slot machine that allowed him to live his life in a simulation until his death. Funny, isn't it? Also, in the popular SimCity game, some characters might start to reflect on the fact that they are inside the game. The Boltzmann Brain. What if your whole world is a false memory, and you're a lonely brain that accidentally broke out in chaos? Physicists consider it a paradox. In a universe where everything is possible, it is more likely to accidentally form one conscious brain with all the memories than an entire universe with all the stars. It turns out that everything should be empty, but you see an orderly world. Your brain has skillfully completed the surrounding reality. There is no body, there is really no world, only you, floating in endless nothingness. Biocentrism. But what if there is no death, at least for your mind? The modern concept of biocentrism asserts that consciousness is primary and the universe is secondary. Space and time are just tools of your mind to help organize your impressions. It turns out that the usual linear flow of time is nothing more than a convenient illusion for our brain. The past, present, and future exist simultaneously. Albert Einstein supported this idea. If time is not absolute, then the moment of death is only a conditional mark, not the end of existence. In simple words, you have never felt the absence of yourself either before birth or in a dreamless dream. At any moment, there is you. So I'm really dead? Does it matter? Reality or dream, you've lived a whole story anyway. Has it become less real because it could be an illusion? I guess you're right. Maybe real or not, this life is the only one I have. You know, the end of a story is always the beginning of a new one. But how do I know what's real and what's not? No way. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.